lesson is multiply and add. This is going to help us when I give you an area rectangle, or when I give you a rectangle model and I give you the area and it has 4 sections. Remember what I'm talking about? If not, here. I do not. So we did this. So do you guys remember where we had to plug this in? 2c squared for the area. We didn't know what the second and third area was going to be, and then the fourth area was 20. Remember how then we'd have to find the greatest common factor, and then we'd have to do the guesswork to figure out what would go in these squares 3 and 4. Well, the MA method is going to eliminate the guesswork of this lesson. So we're going to learn, the first step today is learn what is MA. And then the lesson on Monday, we're going to learn how to factor using MA. And then that's truly going to be our last big learning thing, okay, of the year. So let's go ahead and erase that. And let's get into it. So example number 1, it's saying what 2 numbers multiply to m and then add to get a. What that means, what can you all multiply together to get 50? So what numbers can you all multiply together to get 50? Now when I say numbers, I mean factors. Factors are 2 numbers that you multiply to get 50. So what I like to do things in order. I need order. So 1 times what? Can 1 go into 50? So 1 times what will get me to 50? Okay. Then I go to my next number. 2 times what equals 50? If you don't know, all you have to do is take 50 divided. That prime factor sheet will not help you. We're not dealing with prime factors. I want to go in order. Can 2 go into 50? Can 2 times what equals 50?
No.
2 times 10 is 20. 2 times 25 will get me to 50. 3 times something get me to 50. Can you take the number 3 and multiply it by another number to get me to 50? If you don't know that, in your calculator, type in 50 divided by 3. What do you end up with? A dozen.
16.666.
So then no, it's not going to work. So then we go on to our next number. Can you take 4 times a number and multiply it together to get to 50? What? 4 times what equals 50? If you don't know, take 50 and divide it by 4.
No, you can't.
You can't. Okay, so then we go to our next number, 5. Can you take 5 and multiply it by another number to get to 50?
Yes.
So 5 and 10. Okay? Now 50 has more factors, so we're going to keep going. Can you take a number 6 and multiply it by something to get 50? Yeah. Can you multiply 6 by a number to get 50? If you don't know, take 50 divided by 6.
No.
Nope. What about 7?
No.
What about 8?
No.
What about 9?
No.
What about 10? Well, we already know that because we have the 10 right there. So once we get to a number that we're going to repeat, we're done finding our factors of 50. Okay? So now that we have our m, our multiples of 50, our factors of 50, we're ready to look and see what the a is. Okay? What's the number a?
27.
27. So what we're going to do here, we're going to take these factors that we found of 50 and see which of those we can now add together to get 27. Okay? So we're going to look at our factors of 50, and we're now going to think, which of these can I add together to equal 27? So 1 plus 50, does that equal 27? What does it equal? 51. But if I take 2 plus 25, does that equal 27?
Yep.
That's my answer. So I would write my answer like this, 2, 25, box it. That is going to be the MA for 50 and 27. Now, I expect to see your work just like I've shown on your notes. If you do not show your work on your notes, it will confuse you down the road. Okay? That's it. That's all we're doing today.
For real?
For real. For real.
When teachers say so, they be him trading pencil for a pencil. She doesn't have it.
Yeah. You want to grab him a pencil? Yeah. That's fine. You're out of lead. Yeah, I never have pencils with lead. Okay, so now let's fill in our notes. So your notes here. So on where it says finding M and A, step 1, list all factor pairs of M. Write that down. Step 2, choose the factor pair with a sum. What's sum mean?
Sum it up like,
Add them all.
Yeah, the answer when you add. With the sum of A. I recommend writing the step in the parentheses. You don't necessarily have to, but it says you can then skip to step 2 as soon as you find a factor pair that works. So sometimes you're going to have like a larger number, let's say 350 for a factor. You don't want to sit there and find every single factor of 350 if the A is going to be like the third factor pair you find. And I'll explain what that means in a moment. So go ahead and get these notes down, and then we'll go to our next examples. Well, where it says 1, next to step 1, write that. Where it says 2, write that. So we've already done the factor pairs. We already completed the factor pairs for 50 when we first initially started our notes. So the factor pairs of 50 were 1 and 50, 2 and 25, and 5 and 10. With those factor pairs then, we tried to determine which of those we could then add together to find the sum of 27. Which factor pairs equaled out to be the sum of 27? Yeah, so 2 and 25. So 2 and 25 equal to be 27. So what I'm saying by the second step where it says you can skip step 2 as soon as you find a factor pair that works. So like let's say I'm going and doing my work. 1 and 50 equals 50. Then I'm going to go ahead and check my A. Does 1 plus 50 equal 27? Nope. So I'm moving on. So my next factor pair is going to be 2 and 25. Well, I'm going to go ahead and check and see if that works before I think of another factor pair. Well, does 2 and 25 work? Yes. So I'm going to quit showing my work, and I'm going to move on to the next problem. Okay? So you don't have to list every single factor pair for each of your terms. All right, moving on. Now, what do you notice? So what two numbers multiply to M and then add to A? What do you notice about all of your M's?
they large.
They're all 24.
They're all 24. So you're only going to have to find the factor pair of 24 how many times? Once. So what we did on your worksheet and on your upcoming openers and on your notes, instead of giving you a different MA problem every single time, we used the same M so you wouldn't have to sit there and find factors multiple times over and over again. With that said, I want you guys now to help me find all the factor pairs of 24. What numbers can I all multiply together to get 24? Then we'll go through and find our A's in just a minute.
1 and 24.
So I always start in order. 1 times what gets me to 24?
1 to 24.
Yeah. 2 times what gets me to 24? If you don't know how to do it, take 24 and divide it by 2, and that will give you the other factor of 12. So if I take 2 and 12, okay, 3 times what gets me to 24? 4 times what gets me to 24?
I don't get the worksheet.
We'll get there, I promise you. All I'm doing,
What was it?
4 times what?
6.
6. So all I'm trying to find, you guys, all I'm trying to figure out, what all numbers can I multiply together to equal 24? The M stands for multiply. So what all numbers can I find that multiply together to get 24? I like to go in order. That way I don't miss one. Because if I jump around and say 3 times 8 is 24, and I know 2 times 12 is 24, I might miss something. So that's why I'm going in order like this. 5 times what gets me to 24?
I'm going to use the multiplication.
Yeah, the multiplication chart would help. 5, can you multiply 5 by anything to get to 24?
No.
Okay, what about 6?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but we already used it, right? So I know I can now stop because I have all my factor pairs of 24. Now I'm ready to go and find, because I did all step 1, which says list the factor pairs of M. Well, I listed all the factor pairs of M. Now I'm ready to find the A. So step 2 says what? Choose the factor pair with a sum of A. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, what's my first A? It's 14, right?
Yeah.
So which of those factor pairs can I add together to equal 14? 2 and 12. Because if I take 2 plus 12, I get 14. So my first answer is just 2 and 12.
So that's the only thing we do in boxes.
That's it. So, as far as showing your work, over to the left, I showed all of my factor pairs. That's all I need to do.
See, when you
Because
help
now
it-
I just go through and I add those, and then I find out what my answer. So now I'm ready to move to my second MA. So the M is 24. We already found the factor pairs of 24. So now out of those factor pairs, what can I get and add together to equal 10? Because my A is 10. My A add 10. So which of those factor pairs can I add together to get 10? 2 and 12 would get me to 14. 4 and 6, yeah. So the factor pair of 4 and 6 I could add together and the sum would be 10.
Now they wrote it in the wrong spot. Gotta rewrite.
And now I look at my third. So the M is 24. We already found the factor pairs. The A, we need to find which of those factor pairs we can add together to get 25. So Dylan, which of those factor pairs can I use to add together to get 25? 1 and 24.
I said 2 and 8. I mean 3 and 8. That will.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
It's like a vacuum game.
Okay, that's all.
All right.
Do we gotta do the box?
So now we're going to look at example number 4. It's the last example that we're going to do today. Yes, I prefer you box it so I know that's where your answer is.
What would you rather?
Some kids show their, so Stanisha, some of the kids choose to put their work under it. So, like for example, some kids choose to put their work right under it like that. And then it's hard to determine what their answer is if they don't have it boxed. So yeah, so please still continue to box your answer. Okay, example number 4. What do you notice that they all have in common again?
90.
Is all the multiple. So what am I going to find the factors of here?
90.
Of 90. So I'm going to think of everything that I can multiply together to get 90. Now that I'm working with a larger number, it's very important to work in order. So if I'm working in order, my first factor pair is going to be 1 and 90. Because I take 1 times 90, I get 90. 2 times what equals 90? If you don't know, take 90 divided by 2.
I don't see it.
45.
Okay, so 2 times 45 will get me to 90. Okay? 3 times what gets me to 90? If you don't know, take 90
30.
divided by 3 and you'll get 30. So 3 times 30 will get me to 90. 4 times what will get me to 90? Take 90
Like
divided
20 something.
Take 90 divided by 4. With your calculator for now. Take 90 divided by 4. I'm asking you. 90 divided by 4.
Okay.
What do you get? Okay, so you get a decimal. So does that work? Is 4 a factor of 90? No. So now 5 times what equals 90?
18.
So that's going to be a factor. 5 and 18 are going to be factors. Okay, what about 6 times what gets me to 90?
15. Wait.
Take 90 divided by 6.
I said it's 15.
For sure?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. 7 times what gets me to 90?
Nothing.
Okay. 8 times what gets me to 90?
Nothing.
9 times what gets me to 90?
10.
10. Oh, wait, I'm done, right? Because I'm starting to repeat. So now that you found all your factor pairs, what do you do from here?
Find out what's the adding.
Okay, so I need to see which factor pair that I can add together to equal the sum of 19. So which of those factor pairs can I add together to get 19?
9 and 10.
9 and 10. So the answer is 9 and 10. Okay, what about for the second one?
330.
3 plus 30 will equal 33. Yeah, at this point, you guys know I always write my smaller number first. You can put 3 and 30, or you can put 30 and 3. You can switch the order they're in. For the sake of this, it won't matter. Now, when we go to do our next lesson, it won't matter either, but it'll make it easier on you if you learn to put your smaller number first, okay? So if you learn to put your smaller number first now, it'll be easier on you in our next lesson. All right, our last one, 21. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is today's lesson, the MA method.
Is there a worksheet?
No, I'm going to give you notes this time and not give you a worksheet because, why?
Alright.
Yeah, no.